Like, gang, this is Brent crude oil, gang. We can't even look on the 15. Like, they won't even allow us. I guess they banned it. I don't know. They banned it. Brent crude oil. Like, we can't even trade it. I don't even know if we can trade it. I have no idea, but it won't even let me look at the 15. Like, this is another oil. All the oils have been going up. We went over crude oil. This is Brent crude oil futures. This oil, March 1st. February 23rd, February 24th, it was at 93. And March 4th, it's at 97 and goes all the way up March 4th to like 10, like, whoa. It was at, mind you, it was February 22nd, it was at 91. Now it's all the way up to 119 from February 22nd, February 23rd, February 24th, starting March 1st, around here. This is March 1st. It heads all the way up, March 1st, all the way up to 104. And now March 4th, all the way from to March 7th, it heads all the way up to 119. Doesn't let me go back in. Doesn't let me like do anything. Like, it just shows me the daily. Actually shows something when I try to like it won't let us trade this. I don't think we can trade this. I just wanted to show you this is the oil that they're talking about. They're talking about Brent crude oil has went up to 119. This is crazy. I show you crude oil as well. I think we can trade the other one, the other crude oil. I want to believe we could trade Brent crude oil in futures. As this, I think this has to do with Russia. But it goes all the way up to 119 a day. Like, this is just crazy. It was just low. It was just this low, like March. It was just low at 92 dollars. Now it's at 118, $119 for this one. Like, it's crazy. Oil. I think this is oil with Russia oil. They was talking about the Black Sea and everything like that. As Russia is going to try to like sell their oil through the Black Sea because the United States has banned all transaction with Russia oil, and all like their everything with Russia is banned. With no transaction with the United States with Russia. I just go into the news now. I know we're gonna break down. I know y'all want me to break down the news. I just go right into the news. I just wanted to show you this one as well because they're gonna be talking about it. All right, gang. So, gang, this is the Europe session of the news.
This is Bloomberg Daybreak Europe. I'm Danny Berger in London with Manish Cranny in Dubai. The stories that set your agenda.
Oil shock, inflation fears. Brent touches $139 as the US considers unilateral ban on Russian oil imports. The stakes rise. Putin repeats the war in Ukraine won't end until his demands are met. The third round of talks may occur today. Plus markets, Royal stocks sink and the euro drops below parity with the Swiss franc. Gold hits $2,000. Copper, palladium hit all-time highs. Good morning, Danny. Good to be back with you. We are in a new phase of potentially the weaponization of oil. That is potentially unilateral embargo of Russian oil. We move from self-sanction, Danny, to the reality of real sanctions with real teeth on Russian oil. Good morning.
Good morning, Manish. And the consequences for oil on this global economy are massive as stagflation fears play through. The fears most acute in Europe. Understandably, Manish, Goldman Sachs Zach Pandel writes that the constructive thesis for the euro is off the table. We're looking at euro parity, at least when it comes to the Swiss franc. Is the dollar next, Manish?
We are in an oil shock, inflation shock, stagflation narrative. To the GTV library you go. This is what you begin to understand about the scale of the move in commodities. It is the biggest weekly move in 60 years, and that excludes the dynamics of palladium, copper, all of the hard metals, along with natural gas that are ramping this morning to new records from copper across the softs, Danny. We are in a new weaponization phase of commodities and oil. Danny.
Yeah, really big moves, man. I also just want to point out that we also saw the biggest withdrawals of European equities on record, probably part of the reason we've seen the euro fall to its lowest since May 2020. What does the cross-asset picture look like, Manis?
Well, you've got havens are bid, you've got risk assets definitely imploding, and it is the pillar of the currencies which is taking the weight. The ruble has imploded. If the US goes for unilateral sanctions on Russian oil, would this be the crippling blow to the ruble? You're down nearly 13%. Copper, again, flies higher this morning. You're looking at 3.3% of the global output comes from Russia this morning. Goldman Sachs say copper is mispricing the Russia supply risk, and you could hit 12,000 in the next 12 months. Also, gold, well, people are sort of expecting that to get back above the $2,000 mark, Danny, where we've been through the morning.
Yeah, well, when it comes to stocks, man, it's like the picture for us this morning. It is getting ugly and uglier there. You're looking at your Europe stocks futures down 2.8%. The worst in Germany, where DAX futures are down more than 3%. Financials, those have been under immense amount of pain, down 30% from the peak. S&P 500 futures, those aren't exempt either. We've seen strategists start to reduce their targets on U.S. stocks because of the oil shock. But I did want to point out, Manis, it is small cap futures underperforming, down nearly 2%, as again, the market contemplates stagflationary and recessionary risk, Manis.
Absolutely, and we saw the money flow out of the financials last week at a record rate, as you say, Danny. To the top stories of the day, the reporters are gathered around the world to give you the perspective you need at the start of the trading week. Bruce Einhorn in Hong Kong covering the possible Russian oil embargo, unilateral moves, potential. Juliet Salis in Singapore with the market moves. Maria today on the ground in Brussels, and Peter Skolomoski is in Warsaw covering the very latest on Ukraine, Danny.
Yep, Manis. Well, the U.S. is considering a possible ban of Russian oil imports to tighten the economic squeeze on President Putin in Russia. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said a discussion is underway while also making sure there is still an appropriate supply of oil.
We are now talking to our European partners and allies to look in a coordinated way at the prospect of banning the import of Russian oil while making sure that there is still an appropriate supply of oil on world markets. That's a very active discussion as we speak.
Bruce, this move would take the world from a self-sanctioning mode to perhaps a US move on their own. They've got the capacity to do this. How big is the political appetite to do it?
Well, as we just heard, Secretary of State Antony Blinken would like there to be coordination with the European allies on this. However, the pressure is certainly building in Washington for a quicker action that would be unilateral. So we know that over the weekend, President Zelensky spoke with U.S. lawmakers. And since then, there have been more people who have come out in favor of faster action. Nancy Pelosi sent a letter to members of the House on Sunday saying that the House is exploring strong legislation that would ban the import of Russian oil. In the Democratic caucus, it ranges from people like progressives like Elizabeth Warren to conservatives like Joe Manchin, all in favor of this. Very significantly, the #2 senator in the Democratic caucus, Dick Durbin from Illinois, he's now signed on to this proposal to ban Russian energy imports into the U.S. So it does seem like the political pressure is really building on the Biden administration to do something.
Bruce, thank you very much. That's Bloomberg's Bruce Einhorn. Now, the consequences of what Bruce is talking about have certainly hit a jittery market. We've seen a rush to havens with fears of an inflation shock driven by that surge in crude prices. Let's get to Bloomberg's Juliet Sally in Singapore, who's been tracking all of the moves. Juliet, what are you seeing?
Yeah, absolutely, Danny. This fear of high energy prices really flowing through to Asia, because you've got to think only Indonesia and Malaysia are net exporters or huge net exporters of crude oil in the region. So we do have the regional benchmark index extending its losses, nearing this or eyeing a bear market territory. It's down 21% from its February 2021 peak and is actually holding at October 2020 lows. We've been talking about copper. It hit $2,000 earlier in the session. It's at those August 2020 highs, and of course we talked about copper being being at a record. Palladium also at records going back to 1993. We're watching the move too. You talked about parity with the Euro Swissy. It actually fell below parity for the first time since January 2015. And the consequence of the impact of these high energy prices to the importers